This is the story of the painter and the sheriff. Before 1900, Old Kentucky Road on the east side of Cookeville, Tennessee, was just a dirt track through a leafy tunnel. The trees grew right to the edges of the road, and vines hung from the branches that met overhead. Putnam County Sheriff Charlie Bradford lived in a log cabin with his mother near where Old Kentucky Road and Cavalier Drive meet today. One morning, Charlie set off for a hog killing in Allgood. He was going to help, and when he got there, since he had his gun, they gave him the job of shooting the hogs. Well, after that short autumn day was over, Charlie was splattered with blood, and he had only one shell left in his gun. He was hoping to get home before dark, but by the time that he got to Booger Swamp, about halfway, where Northeast School is today, the light was nearly gone. Charlie began to sing, "Just a closer walk with thee, granted Jesus is my plea, ever walking close to thee, let it be, dear Lord, let it be." And then, ooh-wee, he heard a voice behind him. Now, Charlie knew the etiquette of the woods, and so he called back, "Hoo-wee, hoo-wee," came the call behind him, strange and scratchy. But Charlie answered, "Hoo-wee," and then, whomp, row, something big and heavy landed in the road behind Charlie. Well, he turned slowly, and there, crouched in the dust, belly flat in the dirt, was a painter, a panther, a mountain lion, a cougar. All of its legs were extended and its claws spread. Growl. The cat wrinkled its nose at the smell of hog's blood, and Charlie expected that it would pounce. Charlie thought about that one shell in his gun and was afraid that he might not be able to make that one shot count. So instinctively, he stepped back from the cat. And to his surprise, the cat stepped forward. Charlie stepped back again. The cat came forward. Blue eyes were locked with golden eyes. As slowly, they began this dance down the road. Charlie stepping back and the cat stepping forward. Charlie began to think that he might just be able to ease on back down the road safely to home, when suddenly the cat crouched again. Charlie braced for the spring, but the cat jumped up onto a branch, a great huge branch, over Charlie's head. The cat began to scratch and claw at the branch, and bits of bark began to rain down on Charlie. He stepped back and back out from under the branch, and the cat jumped back down onto the road. Charlie stepped back. The cat stepped forward. Charlie stepped back, and the cat stepped forward. And then suddenly, bump, Charlie stepped back into the farm gate. he was home. But the cat still stood in front of him. He felt behind him for the latch, and when he opened the gate, out rushed his 2 dogs. Well, the big black hound dog took one look at that painter and scuttled back around the house. But the little white feist dog began to run round and round the big tawny cat, darting in to nip at tail and paws, and then hurrying away to safety, away from those sharp claws. While the little dog kept the painter busy, Charlie stepped back through the farm gate, across the farmyard, up the front steps, across the front porch to the front door. Now he stood with his back to the door of the cabin. He began to pound on it with the flat of his hands. "Mother, mother, open the door!" Suddenly, the door opened and Charlie fell inside. He slammed the door shut behind him and fell exhausted over the bed. Charlie fell asleep long before the yapping and snarling ceased. The next morning, Charlie opened the door and found the porch covered with painter prints, but no sign of the little white feist dog. Charlie did not have any appetite for breakfast. And then along about midday, yap, yap, Charlie heard a sharp bark. And when he opened the door, there, with his spotted coat covered with burrs, was the little white feist dog smiling up at him and wagging that stub of a tail. Charlie was glad to share his sausage, biscuit, and gravy with the brave little dog who had saved his life. And that's the story of the painter and the sheriff.